Now, let's turn our attention. Leader Nigel Farage has been in Sheffield today, launching his party's campaign for the European and local elections. He's already run into some trouble because of this series of posters which claim that millions of Europeans are after British jobs. His opponents have described these posters as racist. Let's hear first from Nigel Farage. He's been talking to the BBC's political editor, Nick Robinson.
I just want to show you one of your posters here. Your daily grind, it says to somebody on a commute, funds his celebrity lifestyle. Yeah. Shouldn't that be your photograph in there? How many millions have you taken from European
But I
taxpayers?
want to sack myself. I want to get rid of my job. I don't want to be an MEP anymore. I don't want British allowances going there. I want the whole lot fired.
Well, why don't you just not take the money, Mr Farage? Stick to your principles, do the job, don't take the cash.
We have taken the wherewithal provided by being members of the European Parliament to campaign to get Britain out of the European Union.
So how many millions have you personally, to be an MEP, taken from the European and British taxpayer?
I don't know, but what I can tell you...
You said 2 million a few years ago. Is it 3?
What I can tell you...
Is it more than 3?
What I can tell you is the latest estimate is that each MEP costs the British taxpayer £1.25 million every single year.
Well, and you've been an MEP since 1999, so you're taking the money. So how much have you personally taken into your bank account?
I have no idea.
Do you not think people are entitled to know?
Well, if you want to ring up the European Parliament, they'll give you the figures. But I tell you what, it's less than most others have taken.
Nigel Farage there talking in Sheffield to the BBC's Nick Robinson. Let's discuss the poster campaign now with Richard Corbett. He's a former Labour MEP and in fact is standing again in the forthcoming elections. He's also a former advisor to the President of the European Council. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What do you make of these posters?
I think they're designed to shock, and they've done that. They've got a lot of attention for that reason. I also think they are deliberately misleading. They've even, I would say, taken a book out of the famous line of Joseph Goebbels, which is if you tell a lie often enough, people will believe it.
Which specifics are you referring to? The issues about the number of European laws, those sort of issues?
Well, that's a good example. They've repeated the claim that 70-odd% of our laws are adopted at European level instead of at national level. And people are beginning to believe it because they repeat it again and again and again, although there's no basis in truth for that. Now, let's accept that people don't always believe figures coming from political parties. So let's look at what a neutral body has said, the House of Commons Library. They did a comprehensive study and said it's between 6.8% of our national legislation, or 14.1% if you measure it by statutory instruments, that are of European origin. That's from a neutral body. UKIP knows that, but it undermines their argument, so they willfully ignore it and just repeat again and again and again a lie designed to make people think that everything is decided at the level of the European Union when it patently isn't.
In terms of some of the other posters, you will know that there's a lot of criticism. Some people have said these are racist posters, not that specific one, but that some of the others are. I should ask you what your view is on that.
Well, I can understand why many people would think they're racist, but they are all designed to scare, whichever one it is. They're designed to frighten people with half-truths or, in the case I just mentioned, downright lies.
But isn't it therefore incumbent upon other parties, if that is your view, that you have to appeal to your voters in your own way? That's what some would say. That's what a healthy democracy is about. That's why people go to the voting booth.
Yes, absolutely, and we will. But you know, all political parties will, of course, naturally put a little bit of gloss on things that supports their arguments. They will focus on things that justify their arguments. But to tell an outright, blatant lie when you know that it is untrue, that I think is really over the top. And that is something which I find UKIP to be culpable of.
UKIP says its membership, in fact, has increased quite a lot recently. It says it's now standing at more than 36,000 members. That's only about 8,000 members, for example, behind the Liberal Democrats. Doesn't that show that it's, whether you like it or not, it's resonating with some people, if more people are joining the party?
Well, if you believe what UKIP says, then of course you would join it and you would be outraged if there were any truth in it. But what I find going out on the streets, on the doorstep in Yorkshire, knocking on doors, we're very rarely encountering people doing the same for UKIP. UKIP is relying much more on the money it has, the big donations from Paul Sykes financing these big poster campaigns. They don't have people on the ground, but they do have the money to pay for big billboards.
Richard Corbett, thanks very much for now. Thanks for joining us from Brussels.